Trust me, this is not clickbait. I will explain. This caught me off guard and it is kind of interesting. So, welcome to Housing Bubble 2.0 News of the Week, or as I like to call it, another episode of As the Housing Market Turns. Today is the 17th of February. Randy Patrick here, putting the realism back in real estate. It's actually the second time that I recorded this video on this subject today because, quite frankly, I didn't like the first one and I needed to do a little more research in order to, comment appropriately as to what's going on. So that's the scoop. So we're going to get into it right now. Definitely interesting stuff happening in the housing industry these days. All right, let's get going. But first of all, if you're not already a subscriber, if you could please help my channel grow and click that subscribe button, I would really appreciate that. So thank you very much. Today's video is brought to you by our partnership with Foreclosure.com, the leader in distressed property housing listings in the U.S. These guys have been around for a long time. Lots of deals out there. And if you want data, accurate data for a very good price, certainly Foreclosure.com is your source. You can get a 7-day free trial. Go to gethousingdata.com. The price of the data is under $40 per month. So it's a great deal for perfect data. And I tell you right now, all the stuff I talk about, if you want to find properties, that are distressed, foreclosures, short sales, REOs, for investment, primary home purposes, whatever, use this information, use this website, and you'll find what you're looking for to get yourselves more cost-effective housing. All right, so basically, one more thing too, before I get into it. I'm actually having a live stream presentation tomorrow night, Thursday, February 18th. It's State of the Nation. I'm going to get into a lot of good topics, a lot of stuff I don't talk about here on this medium for various reasons. Yes, it's Facebook Live. Hey, I know some of you have already said, well, I don't do Facebook. Well, you know what? I don't really do Facebook either, but it's a better controlled environment for doing these type of presentations. I'm looking for something in the future that I can do differently. So, but for now, just, create an account or just jump on the old account you have. And, just join me for Housing Bubble 2 is the Facebook page. It'll be 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll go through a good presentation and have active question and answer scenario. I'll be available for that right afterwards. So it typically takes about 2 hours. That's why I don't like doing this on the YouTube platform. All right. So this caught my eye. So right now we know that the Biden administration has extended the foreclosure and forbearance moratorium stuff that's going on, all right? But something caught my eye, and I think you can see it there. It says, Biden helps more than 10 million homeowners by extending the foreclosure moratorium. So I'm thinking, well, what's that all about? And then when I actually delve a little deeper, if we look where the arrow is, it says the extension will help the 10 million Americans who fell behind on mortgage payments during COVID-19. 10 million, well, we got to do a little more investigation to this 10 million number, because that's not the number that we're usually talking about these days, right? Oh, look, DS News, looks like they wrote an article on this, and it says, look, 1 in 5 renters is behind on rent, and more than 10 million homeowners are delinquent on their loans. Okay, that's news to me and kind of interesting. Oh, this is MPA Mag. Same thing. White House noted that over 10 million homeowners are still missing mortgage payments, while 1 in 5 renters is behind on rent. Okay, so we're starting to see collaboration here, and I guess you could say, reputable news, housing news websites, mortgage websites, whatever, actually commenting saying 10 million people are missing their home payments, mortgage payments. 10 million people are delinquent. It's a little ambiguous. I'll give you that right now. So where did they get this information? Well, guess what? This is the official press release from the White House. So if you go to whitehouse.gov, and I'll give you a link in the information section of the video, guess what? This is there. And this basically is the fact sheet that they're talking about with respect to the most recent announcement on forbearance and foreclosure protection for homeowners. So I'll do you a favor, and I'll just sort of zoom into this a bit higher here, but deeper. There, basically it says, as millions of Americans continue hardship with the COVID-19 pandemic, President Biden is continuing to take action to help individuals and families in their homes. It's obviously triggered an affordability crisis. Today, 1 in 5 renters is behind on rent, and just over 10 million homeowners are behind on mortgage payments. Okay, so just over 10 million homeowners are behind on mortgage payments. Well, that seems to differ quite dramatically from some of the stats that I typically talk about, that typically we are obtaining from certain groups or data providers in the industry, primarily the Mortgage Monitor from what's called Black Knight Financial Data Services. And they're the ones that tend to be quoted all the time, who are keeping tabs on all these foreclosures and forbearance plans, whatever. So, that's 10 million homeowners are behind in mortgage payments. Of course, this caught my eye. It should catch your eye as well, too. But no one's talking about this, right? Just before I did this video, I did a look. And yeah, people, listen, there's I'm actually more than surprised at how many people are putting housing videos out now. Yeah, you got the usual suspects like myself and people who have way more subscribers and obviously the people that YouTube like a little better, with tons of views and whatever, but they're not talking about this. And then you got the whole other realm of ones doing 100 views, 800 views, 600 views, talking about forbearance as well too. So basically, if you're involved in the real estate industry, what an easy topic to talk about if you want to talk fluff. I want to go for the data, and there it is right now. So what the White House is telling us, just 10 million homeowners are behind in mortgage payments. This is unique, all right? So I am concerned about this. Some of the extra announcements, they said extending the foreclosure moratorium for homeowners through to June 30th of this year, extend the mortgage payment forbearance enrollment window until June 2021 for borrowers who wish to request forbearance, and provide up to 6 months of additional mortgage payment forbearance and 3-month increments for borrowers who entered forbearance on or before June 30th, 2020. All right, so if you were in early and your forbearance is actually expiring, you can jump in 2-3 month increments if you wanted to, which is helpful to people, and I get that, and that's fine. Or I'm not knocking that. I'm knocking the number here. So what it says here is provide immediate relief to the homeowners across America. Today's actions directly benefit the 2.7 million homeowners currently in COVID forbearance. Okay, so that's right. So we're ebbing and flowing every week based on in and out of plans, etc. So these guys, so the White House is actually kind of quoting the Black Knight Financial Data source right here, and this will also extend the availability of forbearance options for nearly 11 million government-backed mortgages nationwide. Well, 11 million government-backed mortgages nationwide is what? Probably FHA, VA, USDA, Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac as well too. So that's your mortgage. This is their government-backed. And I'm thinking, well, did they get some numbers mixed up here? Because they saying it's available to 10 million people, but they actually meant the 11 million people who are in mortgages but don't need it? Or is it really going back to these are 10 million plus people that actually are behind their mortgage payments? So I'm looking at this going, there's some confusion here, and what gives? So we'll just keep delving into this. So I've shown you a couple of websites that basically are directly saying here that, quote unquote, over 10 million homeowners are still missing mortgage payments. All right, so that's a direct quote. Funny enough, there are some websites who also pick up on this information that are pro-housing information that aren't talking about this number. And this I thought was interesting. And again, the usual culprits or suspects. You got Housing Wire here, who has a nice big article about HUD extending COVID-19 for FHA loans and gets into it and everything. But nowhere, if you look at this article, do they mention, 10 million homeowners are still missing mortgage payments, because that's not really part of their narrative. They don't like that. As a matter of fact, this is the website that actually has the writer guy who has coined the whole housing bubble bros or forbearance bros. He likes to, and I don't listen to him. I don't even read his articles anymore because, quite frankly, I'm not going to go stoop down to that level. But the point is that, he's basically saying jobs, jobs, jobs is kind of what I think his platform is. And that, we've missed the mark and everything's going to be great. Well, you know what? Maybe not with some of these new numbers we're getting here. And take a look at that middle quote there that's between the two red lines. It says, mortgage servicers take steps to support borrowers amid COVID-19. As call volumes have spiked to a level not seen since last April, lenders and servicers need to prepare for a significant increase in their workload as they help borrowers through difficult times. So each bank, lender, servicing company has a section that's referred to as loss mitigation. Loss mitigation is the section that you would call of the lender, servicer, or bank that would work with you or try to work with you and help you with solutions to deal with your unpaid mortgage balance, your situation, your house, or whatever. The things that are available under loss mitigation are forbearance. Okay, so that's for you. Everyone can get forbearance, and of course, and then when it expires, you got to get it back into a payment plan. If you can't work a payment plan, then you might have to go to a loan modification. If you can't afford a loan modification, you're going to fall into the foreclosure bucket, and then they're going to offer you things like, well, can you do a short sale? Can you just sell your property? Can you do a deed in lieu and give it back to us? Stuff like that. So that's what the loss mitigation departments of the banks, lenders, and servicers do. And I can tell you that they've all been beefing up their staff. The year 2020, they've been gone on record as beefing up staff and programs because they know the onslaught is coming. All right, another sign that stuff's going to hit the fan. So many other housing news websites not mentioning the 10 million number of delinquencies or homeowners not paying their mortgage, behind their mortgage, however you want to coin that phrase, as of yesterday, what they were saying. Stuff like CNBC here and there. So I see articles that are talking about forbearance and the dates and all this type of stuff, and 2.7 million. They kind of are leaving out this 10 million plus people who are quote unquote still missing mortgage payments. So in my mind, I'm going, all right, this can't be the case, because if you recall a lot of my videos and what we talk about, we got the forbearance numbers being that 2.7, 2.8 hover number. I've got some stuff from Black Knight Financial that sort of shows that, okay, we got the forbearance group, and then we have the people who are delinquent in their mortgages, but they're not in any forbearance program now. That's about 1.1 to 1.2 million. So if you add that up, that's 2.7, 2.8, adding 1.1 to 1.2, you got about 4 million going on, and I do think the numbers are conservative. So I've always stated that a lot of this information is based on polls and extrapolation of data sets and whatever. So they're taking the information and they're actually trying to determine a number. And I get it. I'm not looking for an exact number, but I really truly believe that what we're being told is and it's not a purposeful misrepresentation, but it's just a slight misrepresentation of probably what the real numbers are, and that we're going to be kind of shocked or surprised after the fact. So just keep that in mind. So of course, inquiring minds want to know, and I'm still going to delve and get this information because, quite frankly, as I said, this is the second time today I'm recording this video. And had I let the first one go up, I probably would have looked a bit foolish, and that's not really good, is it? And that could also be misleading for a lot of people out there. So that's why we're doing it it's number 2 right now. So thoughts? Well, I will not jump to conclusions. Well, I did jump to conclusions before, and that's why I'm like, hold on, I got to do some more research and find out what the real numbers are here, or see if I can debunk this 10 million plus people who are still missing mortgage payments. 10 million homeowners are still missing mortgage payments. I'll say it over and over again so we get the language down pat here. All right, so after some more research and some delving, I found a little website here. It's called Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. Quite frankly, they just track a lot of information. I don't know whether this is a government-sponsored institution, or I don't know, because I haven't honestly had the time to go look at it because I'm running a little short on time today. But the whole point is that this is kind of where I think the source is. So when I'm delving down to the information, because that's what you do, there's a little section here on inability to pay rent or mortgage. So where the red arrow is there, it says, even with these issues, however, the data indicate that millions are having difficulty paying rent. An estimated 13.2 million adults living in rental housing, that's nearly 1 in 5 adults, were not caught up on rent, according to data collected the week of Jan 20 to February 1st. Okay, so that's their estimate. So 13.2 million adults living in rental housing, nearly 1 in 5 adult renters not caught up according to data. So that's where that data source for the 1 in 5 renters comes from. And then if I go further down here, example here, this just goes to show you not caught up on rent. And they basically have broken down by state the estimated number of not caught up on rent and a percentage of the overall renters. So you can see that, like Florida's got over 1 million. California has, oh Lord, looks like almost 2 million here. I got the sheet here. 1.84 million, Florida 1 million, New York 1.8 million estimated not paying their rent or not caught up on rent. You've got 1.5 million in Texas, and of course you've got everything from 500,000 in Ohio to 47,000 in Rhode Island to 13,000 in Wyoming. So every state's going to have a percentage and a number. Obviously, certain states are going to have bigger numbers than others, right? But when you take a look at it, there's a lot of people, And that's what's going on across the U.S. So this is the rental side. So we kind of debunked that, and not really debunk. It really was they're correct on that. At 1.1 out of 5 renters, 13.2 million are not current or sorry, not caught up on their rent. Okay, by state. Now, if we go over here, this is where the information is. It's a big red arrow. So while households that don't rent their homes but have mortgage payments typically have higher incomes than renters, they too can face difficulties, especially if they have lost their jobs or seen their incomes fall significantly. An estimated 10.1 million adults are in a household that is not caught up on its mortgage payment. Okay, so there's where the 10 million comes from. All right, an estimated 10.1 million adults are in a household that is not caught up on its mortgage payment. So now when I look at this number, I go, okay, well, that's adults in a household. All right, so I think now let's go back to the actual White House press release here that is saying here just over 10 million homeowners are behind on mortgage payments. Well, this is probably where the semantics got a little bit caught up or misguided. I'm not suggesting there's anything covert, malicious, appropriately fake news, whatever. I think this just was an interpretation. So this website is telling us that 10.1 million adults are in a household that is not caught up on its mortgage payment. They're saying 10 million homeowners are behind and still missing payments. There's a difference there. So how I look at this is that, well, you know what? A household can contain more than one adult, right? So now I think it would be a little bit presumptuous for us to say that each household has 2 adults. Whether it's a husband and wife, domestic partnership, I don't care what it is. So I think we'd be too conservative to say 10 million adults equals 5 million households that are not caught on mortgage payments. But even at that level, if we just go that as a base minimum, 2 adults are running a household, for example, then we're still above the 3.5 to 4 million, I guess you could say, numbers that we're sort of looking at right now with respect to Black Knight and some other statistics. So even that suggests that there's a million more than kind of is on the table now, maybe 1.5 million, a million to 1.5 million more that's on the table, depending on how you cut and look at statistics. So that's a base minimum, which means now we're more than that 3.5 million people. We're at 5. So 5 is my new minimum number right now. That's what I'm going to use on a going forward basis. Now, if we look at a household, well, let's take, what if it's not 2 adults per household? Maybe it's 1.5 because some people live together, some people don't. Some are single, you know what I mean? Who knows? So maybe that number could be 6 million homeowners or 6 million house. Like when I say household, I'm equating that to an actual house, a property, a mortgage. That's what we're trying to get to. So maybe we're at 6 million, maybe we're at 7 million, maybe we're at 7.5 million. So I think going forward, we're probably in that 6 to 7 million number. I'm making a wild ass guess here. That's called a WAG. Everyone says just take a WAG. That's a wild ass guess on this. So, it's 5 million plus, which is more than what we got going on now. So things are actually a bit worse than what's being talked about in the media. Again, I'm not slagging the media in this case. It's been pretty reasonable with respect to like a data source like Black Knight Financial, who likes to go and talk about this. But when we start looking at extrapolations and surveys and polls and whatever, we're getting some different numbers right now. So on a personal note, I'm going to err on this north of 5 million not paying their mortgage plus. All right, whether you want to go 6, 7 million in that range, it's up to you. Probably not 10 million. I'll give you that much. I think 10 million, I think that's just a play on words right now. As much as, it wouldn't surprise me, it's probably not 10 million. But again, we don't know. Maybe it is 10 million, just the way they're talking about things. Maybe household is equal to one property, which equal to a mortgage. I don't think so, but we'll go from there. All right. So that's kind of the point I'm trying to make here, guys. When will this ride end? Well, I don't know, because we've got this extension now. We've got some more of these foreclosure extensions and forbearance extensions that really are putting off the inevitable, and we'll see what happens. We still have, that report I'm looking at talks about, unemployment, people who can't make household expenses, the whole bit. It's actually quite in depth, and there's a lot more unemployment than I think we're being given credit for that's going on in the industry, well, in the world right now, at least in the U.S. So I look at it going, this is what's happening with foreclosures. It's the vacants, the zombie ones are going to foreclosure right now because obviously if you're government-backed mortgages, you're not going to foreclosure. That's number one. Number two, if you're a conventional mortgage, they're being filed, they're going to get moving, etc. So we're going to start to see more play in this. Funny enough, and I'm going to talk about this tomorrow night too, I've got a new product out called Zombie Foreclosure Flip. It's replacing my Never Pay retail product, which I think just didn't make sense and really didn't get off the ground. This will be like a sister product, more of an entry-level product than to my advanced short sale course. My short sale course really will cover everything in the Zombie Flip, Foreclosure Flip, plus a lot more benefits. But just so you know that. But we'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow night when we go through the state of the nation. The expectation was 600,000 seriously delinquent borrowers were going to pop out of forbearance end of March 31st. So these people are going to have a little bit of a safety net, which I suppose is good for them. Why do we talk about this? Because single-family rentals are a new asset class, or has become an asset class, and people are competing for land, build to rent, and at foreclosure auctions for this. So really getting involved in distressed housing will get you to your end goal of acquiring your primary or investment property at a much cheaper price. When I'm talking about, when we're talking the numbers on, people not paying their mortgage, missing payments, this is what I talk about the Black Knight. So Black Knight is basically saying that numbers of properties that are already delinquent, not in foreclosure, about 3.251 million. That includes the forbearance numbers. Add the number of properties that are already in the foreclosure process. We're about 3.429, under 3.5 million. As I said, this is conservative as far as I'm concerned, because they're showing, what they're saying is that 2.8 million people, 2.8 million people are in forbearance. And then we've seen lots of other articles out there by other reputable data sources that state that 1.1 to 1.2 million homes or mortgages are delinquent, but they're not in a forbearance number calculation. They're not in a forbearance plan. That would give me 2.7, 2.8 to 1.8. That's where I get the 4 million, which is not the 3.4 million that these guys are saying. So there's a discrepancy in numbers. There's always going to be. But that's why I keep saying, conservatively speaking, there should be more. So that 5 mil is actually looking better every minute now that I think about this. And I know that the 5 million number is probably conservative, so it will be larger based on how this household to mortgage, property to mortgage ratio, kind of plays out in the future. All right. So that's the scoop. So as we know, short sales, other pre-foreclosure sales are supposed to become more dominant as for the distressed market 2021 and beyond. So we're seeing that now. We're going to see more of that. That's why you need to get involved. 1% of all on-market property sales fall into distressed category. Distressed category, as per National Association of Realtors, when we do the monthly existing home report, which is, I think, coming out in a couple of days, REO sales and short sales, so REO real estate owned, which are foreclosed by the bank and brought back out on market. It's 1% or less of the entire existing housing. No one is doing short sales. How do we know this? It's the 1% rule. I can show you that. Guess what, guys? More foreclosure filings are quietly increasing. More properties scheduled for auction go to the 1% rule. If we keep going a little bit further in this, I will show you some interesting statistics. But first, I'll stop fighting the housing market. Work with what we are given. It's all relative. So if you buy a distressed property today, it's going to be discounted relative to today's prices. If you resell today, it'll be priced relative to today's prices. So it's a percentage. It's going to go up and down based on, the percentage will stay the same, but the dollars will change based on where we are in the cycle and the timing. Ride the wave is what I say. So let the local market get control of the distressed property, get yourself a better priced property, or earn money if real estate investing. An example, here's the most recent information of the county that Tampa is in, which is Hillsborough County. I'm going to bring this up and I'll show you the differences in these price points. So traditional sales, you can see in December 2020 for the county, which is a fairly substantial county, about 1 million people. It's Tampa, the greater Tampa area, okay. Almost 2,000 closed sales. These are single-family residentials, SFR, single-family homes. They're not multifamily. They're not income properties. They're not mobile homes. They're not villas. They're not condos. They're not townhouses. You know what I mean? These are just single families, all right? So I wanted to keep it just like just in that realm right there. The median sales price is almost $300,000. A foreclosure REO that was sold in December 2020, the median price was $255,000. About $45,000 of equity between the traditional and the foreclosure REO. If you go to the short sale, the bottom part of the chart there, the median sale price for a short sale property was $225,000, which is about $75,000 of equity in comparison to the median. So that's actually pretty good. I can tell you that the median sales price of a short sale, even though it's good, and you can see there's a discount there for sure, I can tell you that these are pretty much retail short sales, and I almost can guarantee that whoever was working these deals didn't have someone like me who works the angle to drive the price down even further, as opposed to just finding a buyer and getting the approval and getting the thing closed. You see, we have a different perspective on how we handle these, approach these, work these, the system and the angle and the whole bit. All right, that's why you want to talk to me about this kind of stuff. So I know I can probably push that price down even farther. But the point is, there's discounts there without even trying. And you can see that, look, 8 short sales, 11 foreclosures out of almost 2,000 properties. It makes no difference, like it's zero, like not even happening. It's less than 0.5% of that market in our market in the county here. So it means nothing. So but there's tons out there and more are coming. So that's why you got to get involved, guys. That's my discussion point. How do you find these deals? GetHousingData.com. My link to Foreclosure.com. Get your 7-day free trial, under $40 per month to get the data. And guess what? It'll show you who and where these properties are, when they're going to auction, what their status is, plus a lot more data. GetHousingData.com. This is what you need to get involved with this industry and this business. I'll tell you more about it. Just connect with me, Randy at LuxuryShortSales.com. Hey, I appreciate the views, likes, comments. I appreciate myself today for not jumping to conclusions and putting out a video that was erroneous in nature. Sorry about the clickbait title, but at least we got down to the real numbers, which are probably more than what's being presented to us, but they're not, I don't think, the 10 million. Not that I can't get there, but it's not the 10 million that looks like they're sort of not misrepresented on purpose, just the way they're talking about it. I don't think actually is quite what they, I don't think they mean what it's actually stated in the word. So I'm not busting anybody on this. I'm just saying probably didn't come out the right way what we're talking about here. Anyway, guys, thanks once again. Views, likes, comments, reach out to me. Share the video with your family and friends. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Help my channel grow. And we'll look forward to talking to you in a couple of days. Thanks.